and I have to find another chief. Firing a chief is very simple.
So it seems that there are a lot of chiefs need to be fired after all these issues that pop up. Okay, there are a lot of issues that pop up. Okay. Now we have an Income-Alliance Saga. That's even bigger issue than what PAP wants us to realize. Okay. But before I go and talk about this, I just want to update about this vaccine news. Okay. Now, in London, in UK, finally BBC breaks its silence on serious vaccine injury. This guy, after his booster, he got neuro problem. The vaccine actually hurts the nervous system. It's not uncommon. In fact, Singapore have such cases, suspected cases. Charlene would have told you about that. Right? She was one of the more prominent case in Singapore where her nervous system was affected and she can't even stand properly or walk properly. Right? The hands and the legs will keep shaking and brain fog and all that. She has not, recently when I read info, she has not recovered yet, okay, unfortunately. Right? So in Australia, a county council, right, have actually requested the Australian federal government and state government to stop the vaccination. Exactly what I have asked for. My party, People's Power Party, has asked for. Right? And the reason with the latest findings is that there are some badges of the mRNA vaccines, whether it's Pfizer or Moderna, has a contamination, a high level of contamination of DNA fragments. And it is believed that this DNA contamination actually create havoc to our body. Right? So this is what is it all about. And he says that, no, during our time, right, before the internet, people are complaining, right, that the cause of stupidity is because lack of access to information and knowledge. Yeah, but now it isn't, right? Right? Even with an explosion of information, right, there's still stupidity around. Okay, that's all I can say. Oh, and you know what? We have a revised Medishield Life Premiums for Singapore citizens. I think everyone knows about this. Why sudden up to 35% increase? Are you sure? It is madness. Why this sudden increase? Oh, they say, oh, more coverage and blah, blah, blah. But wait, who asked for this more coverage? That's number one, right? And number two, Medishield is actually technically making money. Much more money than a private medical insurance company. Right? And rightfully so, because when you have a universal insurance system, if you manage it properly, right, you shouldn't go bust, right? Especially with a kiasu government. I think the amount of premium that they take in and versus the amount of payout they pay for insurance claim every year, right, is always in green. Green means positive for Medishield. Well, maybe things have changed a bit due to this sudden increase of illness, cancer claims, right? Hospital claims, sudden death or sudden turbo cancer claim, and health being affected, which I believe is due to the vaccination. Right? This is not unique to Singapore. In US, the insurance company are actually very worried that they will go bust, right? Because sudden claims of death, excess death, especially when they have excess death of 20% in Singapore, right, is no joke, right? It means that before they die, right, they must go through, most of them, apart from the sudden death, right, gone through a lot of medical intervention and, of course, insurance claim. So at one point of time, in 2022 and 2023, insurance company in US is actually very worried whether it's sustainable, and the natural result is an increase in premium, right? Because nobody will do quip and sunny one. But in Singapore, I do not know why they want to increase, right? Medishield is very healthy, right? And I have actually provided a solution. Universal Medishield should extend to all the foreign workers because they are young. Before they come to Singapore to work, they have gone through medical screening. You make them pay premium. And when they stop working here, they go back to their home country. You do not need to take care of their medical insurance. They will not be covered by the medical insurance, and that's net gain. Maybe with that plan, we may not need to increase the Medishield premiums for Singapore citizens. Right? Of course, before I go to the income saga, I know this is supposed to be about the income saga, Income-Alliance Saga. I'm going through quickly to all the various saga, right? Current affairs. Oxley Saga begins as expected after the passing of Lee Wei Ling. This is from Lee Hsien Loong. He said he has applied for demolition of Oxley 38, right? Which is according to his father's will, his parents' will, which is this. Right? This is only part of the will. Due to privacy, only this can be shown. Right? It is very clear. This will have gone through probate. That means officially, legally confirmed as legit, right? And this is what LKY wants Oxley 38 to be demolished, according to this wish. Of course, government, the monster that LKY have created, have enormous power. He can do a lot of things against his own will. That's actually an irony, right? But karma is a bitch, right? The current government have the power to gazette the place, say you cannot touch it, you must be preserved, or even says that we want to acquire the land to make a temple out of it, right? So on and so forth. Personally, as I have said, I'm actually quite neutral. If they want to make a temple and milk LKY to his fullest and defy his wish, defy his will, well, let it be, right? Well, if people want to respect his will, well, let it be. But how many normal Singaporeans can fight the government over personal will and wishes? Not many. Okay. For the week, starting from Monday, this is the man. He will be on the headlines for another 10 days, I think, at least. Pritam Singh on trial. He was charged, okay? Every day, got popcorns on, must eat popcorns. Because to us, it's really not a big deal. Right? But it is quite washing laundry in the public, because this is basically his words against his ex-colleague, party colleague, Rashid Khan's words. Okay, and worse, it was Low Tia Kiang was listed as the prosecution witness as well. Everybody wonders why. Right? We shall see. Right? He will be the last witness, I think. Right? So every week, every day got saga. Right? For these 2 days, past 2 days, right? This is a woman, right, crying in the court. Right? And all the emotions was brought up in the court. Right? Beyond the spokes and screen, right? Beyond the spokes and screen, all these words, strong words that calls out, it's actually quite personal. She said he regarded Pritam Singh as a mentor, revered him, she thought he was someone she could really look up to, someone really know everything, not from WhatsApp University, of course, someone that would have all the answers. But of course, the trial have it that spill the beans. So it becomes he say, she say, who says. Well, Pritam's a lawyer. Some people say the lawyer is good, but I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. Why? Up to now, right? There were 3 attempts to impeach Rashid Khan, but they didn't succeed, right? And it actually says a lot of things. Right? Impeachment of a witness, a key witness like Rashid Khan, right, is very important. If you don't kill the witness when you impeach, that means later on your trial is going to have a lot of difficulties. Impeachment means there's a risk, actually, right? If you impeach and you cannot convince the judge that this witness is unreliable, that means the judge actually feels that there's something that are consistent and reliable from her, right? So, in my view, these 3 impeachments which failed, right, has great repercussion, right? Now, during this impeachment, where I saw the 2 and 4, actually the points are quite inconsequential. For example, if I ask you 3 years ago, what do you eat? Do you eat curry chicken or not? You say, maybe yes, maybe no. Right? You eat curry chicken with me. Right? 3 years ago, is the curry hot, spicy? You said no. But later on, after that, somehow, then you will say, oh, I remember, wow, they put a lot of spice inside the curry. But does it mean that what you say is not consistent? Maybe yes, maybe no, because different people have different levels of tolerance towards hot and spicy stuff. You can remember that a lot of chili was put into the curry when you have it. But it doesn't mean that you will definitely feel it's spicy and hot, because different people have different level of tolerance. So, but does it actually important what you eat back then compared to the key question? Whether you lie to me that you didn't do certain things, right? So it's very difficult to relate that, right? Unless you can prove that there are contradiction in certain important points that is with regards to this case. Then that is important, right? Right, that is important. So when the judge actually, according to the reports, the judge told the defense lawyer that, well, you must have, you may seek more evidence first before you seek for the impeachment. But I think Pritam's lawyer ignored that advice and started the impeachment process, but failed. And second time also didn't go through. Third time also good. I do not know what is going on actually, right? Maybe to be present in court personally may actually understand more of the context and the situation. But from the surface of these reports that comes out, failed attempts of impeachment of a key prosecution witness actually is not a good sign, right? It's really not a good sign, right? It's too premature, I would say, to try to impeach a key witness. Too premature. Because it's just he say, who say, what say. You must have evidence, right? That is important in court. Consistency is one, right? Material evidence is another. Key witness is another one, right? 人证物证, right? And so far, there's no counter proposition narrative from the defense that are consistent to convince the public and the judge, right, that this is what actually went through, what happens, right? While on the other hand, prosecution to the judge, which says that the testimony is actually quite consistent. That is very important. So I hope the defense can provide more clarity on their proposition as what exactly happened. Right? Attacking weakness is one of the tactics, definitely, one of the strategy and tactic. But if it fails, you should have other proposition. Right? That's how I feel. Because this case, whether Pritam Singh win or lose, actually is bad for us. Right? Why? If he wins, that means Rashid Khan is not trustworthy. But why was she an MP of Workers' Party in the first place? Chosen by Pritam Singh. What? Because according to her line, is Pritam approached her to become the candidate. That means the judgment of character, right from the start, got problem. If Pritam lost, it's even worse for us as a whole, as opposition. Right? I believe that is why I would not want to say who is right, who is wrong down here. Whoever is right is wrong for us. It's not good for us. Right? So when I read a lot of comments from whether it's from a PAPIB or especially from the hardcore supporters, opposition supporters, when I read their comments, I said, wow, okay, it is bad. Okay? Whichever side you take, it is bad for us. Right? You still cannot convince the middle ground, right? That we have a system that can choose the right candidate, not only to contest, but to win an election and to be effective as an MP. In fact, when Rashid Khan was saying that in court was saying that the disciplinary committee was convened against her, right? Instead of talking about her lying in Parliament. They go and talk about her ineffectiveness as MP, late for appointment, and this and that, and not enough question raised. Wow, well, if internal is okay, but now it's put up to the public. Wow, okay. But you can criticize her for that, but who selected her to be the candidate and eventually become the MP in the first place? It's the leadership. 责无旁贷. Right? It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for all opposition parties. Okay, now we take a break and listen to this.
Pretty woman walking down the street, pretty woman, the kind I like to meet, pretty woman. I don't believe you're not the truth. No one could look as good as you. Mercy. Pretty woman, won't you pardon me, pretty woman? I couldn't help but see, pretty woman.
Oh, sorry, no sound. Okay. People will ask me why I actually show this. Sorry, my apology. Always forgotten to turn on the sound. Yeah, okay. Now, I put up these Pretty Woman songs because this Income-Alliance Saga reminds me about corporate raiders, right? Why corporate raiders? Though for those who are too young to know this Pretty Woman, this movie, the storyline is about a hooker, who is a Julius Robert, right? And the story between her and a corporate raider, a very famous corporate raider, who is played by Richard Gere, right? So I watched this movie, I think just about when I was graduated from NUS, and he introduced me to the concept of corporate raiders, right? At a very young age, 20 plus only, right? Yeah. Corporate raiders are people who go and buy undervalued companies, right, which have a lot of assets or a lot of cash, okay? But the price of the public listed price of the company was undervalued. So what they do is they bought over the company as a majority holder, a shareholder, or the key shareholder. They took over the management. Then they start to strip off the company. The company may not be performing well, doing well, right? But they have a lot of assets. So they strip off the assets, whether it's factory, you have a land, you have a factory, they strip out, they sell it off for profit to cash out. There's a net tangible assets is very high, but it's not making profit. That's what they do, right? And they profited from doing this, the stripping off of a company to sell it off or monetize, right? To change less profit or money losing company into a cash cow for them by stripping the company off, right? And capital reduction is one of the ways. After you sell off the company's assets, you have a lot of cash. Then you go through capital reduction. What is capital reduction? It is by the shares, by the number of shares. Of course, when you close down a section of the company, you will retrench people, or you cut down the business, right? Then you save the cash. Then they will say, okay, with this cash, we will distribute it. You will distribute the cash to all shareholders equally, so-called. Of course, with this successful thing, the managers, the CEO will get bonuses. That's one of the ways corporate raiders actually make money, right? So this alliance income thing, if you remember when I first talked about this Income-Alliance Saga, I actually hinted that there must be something more to this deal, right? There must be something more to this deal, right? Actually, back of my mind, I was actually thinking that, are there assets that can be stripped off to benefit Allianz, right? And my guess is right. Right? My guess is right. There are really things that are not disclosed. Okay? Right? What is not disclosed? This is the thing. This is from Business Time. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. This is the first news report about the government rejects the Income-Alliance insurance. Okay. This is the first news that I read from Business Time. Right. Within this interesting piece of news, right? It says that first, the Ministry of Culture, Community and Youth, MCCY, right, received new information, or as if that only Singh only now, that will raise doubts whether Income will be able to continue fulfilling his social mission if the deal will go through, right? He says, our concern is only over the terms and structure of this specific transaction, particularly in the context of the preceding corporatization of exercise. What does it mean? It's very confusing at first. I didn't know what it means, right? While the government is not allowing current deal to proceed, Edwin Tong is nonetheless open to any new arrangement. So the deal is not totally off yet. Alliance may come with a new deal. Okay, concern raised. Okay, on the surface, Alliance may be using 2.1 billion to buy over this company. However, okay, he actually says that NTUC Insurance Cooperative in 2022 requested to be converted to a corporation, right? Convert itself, then transform itself. In normal circumstances, right? Because it's a cooperative enjoys tax exemption, blah, 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 a lot of things, good deals and all that by the government. is supposed to be non-profit organization. Okay, no matter how the corporate, that means no matter how much NTUC Incomes earns, right? The shareholders, the value of the shares will always at par value. That's the difference between a cooperative versus a normal private entity, private corporation, right? So whatever money that you have earned in excess, at the end of the day, you are supposed to use this surplus or profits to serve the community. That is what cooperatives means, right? Right. So, NTUC actually accumulated $2 billion of surpluses, right? Now, these are the things. When you want to convert into a private entity, it will no longer, in legal terms, have the obligation to serve, to use money to do social service, charity, whatever, right? So these surpluses are supposed to be transferred to an account, a public account. That means governed by the MCCY. Right? It's called the Cooperative Social Society Liquidation Account. Right? $2 billion. But NTUC back then says that, okay, wait for a while, this is what happens. Right? I've rounded up. Right? The first proposal is 2022. You want to convert, giving the reason that they should keep the $2 billion surplus because they will continue to serve Singaporeans as to do social service. $2 billion, and they can expand their business further, right? Whether overseas or expand their insurance business, right? To be more effective in serving Singaporeans. That is what they claim, right? And 2023, they successfully converted, and MCCY agrees to it. Now, once money goes out, it's out of control of the government already. Because as long as you are cooperative, you have a legal obligation. But once you are no longer a cooperative, there's no rules or legal laws, right, to make NTUC income to spend money in social service. Well, NTUC income back then were promised to spend over 100 million over 10 years. That means 10 million per year, right? But you are keeping $2 billion. How long will it takes to use up the $2 billion, correct? That is the case. Okay? Now, so, but government, because the PAP is in symbiotic relationship with the NTUC, right? And the ministry agrees. Okay? So, the $2 billion is supposed to go to public account. There's a cooperative society liquidation account, but it was transferred to a private entity that's run by NTUC, which has a symbiotic relationship with PAP. Okay, this is not why I say what this what NTUC and PAP always claim, they have a symbiotic relationship, right? Now, what is not made known? We were shocked. I told you, right? I suspect something is not right, right? Allianz has proposed in the deal. The whole deal is not just about Allianz take out 2.1 billion to pay for 51% of income, right? He also proposed that the income reduce its assistance share capital reduction, up to the sum of 1.85 billion in cash to shareholders. Does it sound like the corporate raiders that I mentioned just now? What Richard Gere did? You buy out a company with a lot of assets, right? Whether it's in cash or in a fixed asset. You just sell it off and you monetize it and take back through capital reduction. Now, remember, $2 billion is supposed to be the money is supposed to transfer to public account. But this same $2 billion, like $1.85 billion in cash, were eventually transferred to the private shareholders, including Allianz. What does that sound to you? The worst part is this, right? This is what he proposed. The worst part is this, right? This is what is proposed. This was not disclosed to NTUC, CEC. Okay, we must understand the structure of NTUC income, NTUC fair price. I think NTUC fair price is also corporatized. It's no longer a cooperative. So whatever you buy from NTUC fair price, every cent that they make, right, is not for social mission anymore. Technically speaking, they can say, I don't want to do social service. 你奈何得了他? Okay? Right? Same. Whatever money NTUC make right now, they have no legal operation. It's just a promise, right, that was made to MCCY. Right? In simple terms, first step, Income exempted itself from transferring $2 billion surplus to public account. Of course, not exempted itself with the blessing of MCCY, right? When converting from cooperative to corporation. Basically, it prevented $2 billion to go into a public account, but into its own private coffers, right? It makes a promise, right? It says that it needs this money to continue to perform its social mission, to grow the business. First, to grow the business, it needs the money, right? And then to perform its social mission. And third, NTUC Enterprise decided to sell Allianz at $2.1 billion for 51%, while Allianz proposed to distribute $1.85 billion to shareholders. So technically, Allianz will only spend slightly more than $1 billion, less than $1.2 billion, more or less $1.2 billion to buy 51% of income. Now, I want to ask you, in very simple terms, does it sound like a plan? Within 3 years, from 2022, you sweet talk, right? MCCY, oh, we need this money, we really need this money to expand business, right? To do a social mission. Then in 2023, you incorporated yourself as a private entity. Then immediately in 2024, you find another big shareholders to buy your shares at 51% for $2.1 billion. This $2.1 billion, of course, will go to who? NTUC Enterprise, because NTUC Enterprise is the major shareholder of NTUC Income, and NTUC Enterprise will be the one who was selling most of the shares, right, to Allianz. Well, no lah, about 20%, because NTUC Enterprise have 72% ownership of NTUC Income. The rest are minority shareholders, right? And then NTUC Enterprise will get around slightly less than $1 billion, $900 million, if the capital reduction is being carried out as planned. A lot of money, Basically, NTUC Enterprise will have $2 billion in the pocket if these deals goes through. If you say you need the money to expand your business, how come after you sell to the Alliance in the plan, you say, oh, you need Alliance to expand your business, but by doing expansion of your business to overseas, to whatever big plan you have, you actually need less money to do so. In fact, it means that you do not really need the $2 billion in the first place. Correct? Yeah. Because Alliance, why you find Alliance to buy over, become a majority shareholder? Because for the purpose of expanding your business. But at the same time, with the promise of expanding your business, you actually have a capital reduction. You do not need so much money. Does it mean that right from the start, you actually do not need so much money in the first place? How can that be? Right. First, why MAS is involved? Okay, for any financial institution, this is very technical, a bit technical, like banks, right, and the insurance company, and so on and so forth. When bank do business, when you take in $100, bank is taking deposit and loan out, right, to make interest. That's how they make money. But actually, there's something called reserve ratio for the banks. It means that for every $100 that you take in, you cannot lend out $100. You must reserve 10%. For example, if the reserve ratio is 10%, normally it's 10%. You must keep $10 and put out $100 as loan to make money. Why this $10? Because as a bank transaction, daily transaction, there will be people who need money, come and withdraw money and all that. That's why there is called a reserve ratio. Right? There's a kind of a capital insurance to keep your business running. So insurance company is the same. When you have all this investment product, right, you need to keep a certain amount of money as a reserve ratio. Not they don't call it a reserve ratio. There's a requirement, right? So if you want to do more insurance investment or investment, like insurance business, you actually need to keep more and more reserve ratio, right? Or for the running of the insurance company, you have to pay upfront all those commission to your agents. Okay. So if you reduce your capital, the cash, can you do more business? I scratch my head. Even a normal company, normal running a business, for example, you are doing distribution of Akbar tea like me. If I want to expand my business, I have to take in more stock, buffer stock. I have to import more. It means that I need more cash flow, not less. You want to do bigger business, you have to have more cash flow. It's about cash flow. Business, a lot part of it is about cash flow. So how can I say I can do bigger business with less cash flow? It doesn't make sense. Right? So it's very fishy in that sense. Alliance claims that they have a methodology to be efficient in its capital. And yet, the government keeps saying that Alliance have got a good track record. I already touched on this about Alliance track record. In Asia, they went into Philippines. Like after some time, they pulled out. They lose money. They went into Korea. After some time, they lose money. They pulled out. What track record are you talking about? What good track record are you talking about? Right? To them, it's always about profit, never about what social mission. No. If they lose money, they will put up. And in this case, right, within 3 years, they suck out about $1 billion, and it's not viable, it's not making money. They just pull out of Singapore. That is their pattern, right? So this is something that is very puzzling. Very puzzling. And what is more puzzling is this. In Parliament today, I think it's today, right? He says it was reviewed. This guy is called, what's his name? Desmond Tan. Okay. He is a CC members of NTUC. Okay, Desmond Tan, Deputy Secretary General. I think that the Secretary General is actually what's his name? I can't remember. Heng Chi Ming, the one who lost Sengkang, I think. Right? Never mind. He said that even the NTUC CC, which actually owns NTUC Enterprise as a major shareholder. I'm not sure whether it's the only shareholder, but it's definitely a major shareholder. Was not informed, right? He's a major shareholder, he's written here, right? Was not informed about this capital reduction plan by Allianz. So he says that NTUC Enterprise and Income Insurance, right, actually went to the CC, NTUC CC, and give them a briefing for the deal. But the capital reduction plan was not highlighted to the Central Committee. Are you sure or not? It's an important part, because if there's a capital reduction, NTUC Enterprise will make a lot of money, right? Basically, this money is from the cooperative surplus, now transferred to NTUC Enterprise. You mean they didn't tell you how much, boast about how much they will earn? Or people are not listening? In fact, the Central Committee and myself only knew of this on Monday at the ministerial statement. Now, this is very fishy. Why? Who is the chairman of NTUC Enterprise? Lee Boon Heng. Right? You mean NTUC Enterprise under a very a very senior and seasoned PAP cadre who was ex-PAP minister, didn't brief the NTUC Central Committee about such important things, about capital reduction, where NTUC Enterprise will benefit a lot of money in $1 billion, almost $1 billion. Right? It is unbelievable. It is really unbelievable. And MCCY also said that it was not in the know. So there are people who are trying to do all these funny ways, transfer money from the public account to NTUC income, then use this opportunity of selling to Allianz to suck out the money, which is almost the same as $2 billion, which is supposed to be going to the public account, right? But not telling anyone except have to declare to MAS. It's unbelievable. Where are the checks and balances? Even NTUC, CC have no control? Are they sleeping on the job or what? If this is so, Lim Boon Heng have to step down. Why? Because this is a very important material information that should be disclosed to the major shareholder. But he didn't. And the CEO of NTUC Income have to step down. And in fact, right, the commission of inquiry should be called. Because such a big transaction is very sensitive. We must get into the bottom of why this happened in almost total secrecy. The minister was not informed. Even the major shareholder, NTUC, CC, was not informed. Sangmin 不知道下面在做什么. Cannot be. You want to claim that, I'm not in the know, I'm not in the know. How can that be? You are losing control, man. My dear minister. PAP, you are losing control. If everything like the GIC or Temasek Holdings are going to run like this, right? How much money is going to be sucked out? You also don't know. I worry for Singapore. Are they going to actually run the country like this? All important corporation like this? Blur, blur. Ignorance is not a good excuse. It just shows that you are incapable of keeping your kakia, your subsidiaries, right, in control. It's a weak leadership. And you know what? Lim Boon Heng actually jumped out and actually defended the deal. Huh? It is unbelievable. Really unbelievable. How could this happen? This is definitely not good governance. If you are going to tell me this is the pattern PAP government, right? The PAP is running the country, I really worry for Singapore. Right? People can do backside deal in your backyard and you do not have any idea of it until people like us actually make noise. I say, hey, are you sure this is a good deal or not? Are there something more to it? Then they go and check. This is the reason why we need effective opposition. Own self check own self can never work. Right? Because your people don't even tell you the truth or the whole truth, the whole picture. Because when there's too much of a good buddy, good relationship, symbiotic relationship, you tend to take for granted to trust each other. No, it never works that way. You need an independent set of eyes, ears, and minds, and brains to actually look at things from another different perspective. And you know what? It will say that, okay, now I really feel very, very uneasy about this. The CEO of I think he's the CEO of NTUC Income. I do not know whether it's he, but one of top management, right, was somehow related to the bank, right, which was tasked to do due diligence in this transaction. There's a conflict of interest. Of course, they will claim the same thing again. Or exclude himself, recruit himself, whatever. But that is not the way. There's a lot of money involved when you are talking about $1.85 billion to be sucked out of the company. A commission of inquiry by the president should be convened to get to the bottom of this issue, because it's about governance. Of course, some people will say, oh, now NTUC Income is no longer under the cooperative laws. And that is the embarrassing part. Why? Legally, right, if NTUC want to do capital reduction, we cannot stop it, There's no legal grounds to stop it, because it becomes a private entity now. Right? And as contrast to a cooperative, the shareholders' value, the value of the shares is in accordance to how much money that the company is worth, inclusive of the $2 billion that was transferred out. The exemption itself is questionable. Right? Why? Because there's no terms and condition that says that these $2 billion will never be able to be given or be counted as part of the shares of the shareholders. This is very important, because as a cooperative, the $2 billion doesn't belong to the shareholders. It belongs to the public account. But after you give the concession, or rather the exemption, this $2 billion transferred from a cooperative to a company, a private corporation, although the name are the same, but the structure is different. That means this $2 billion becomes the property or belongs to the shareholders. Okay? So how can such assumption be made? Just based on people shit talk you, how we will continue to spend $100 million within 10 years to do social service, blah, blah, blah. That's total bullshit. Right? Why? What is 100 million compared to the $2 billion that was straight away be regarded as part of the assets of the shareholders? Absolutely bullshit. Right? And who is raiding the government coffers? It's not the opposition. It's NTUC, which has a symbiotic relationship with PAP. It has basically transferred that amount of money out of the Singapore government coffers, right? Because that belongs to the government accounts, public accounts, into private hands. Never mind what promise it makes, because it has no legal binding. It's not legal binding. Basically, the structure of the $2 billion, the ownership of the $2 billion have already changed. Right? So that's why suddenly they realize, they wake up or want to come up with a rules or amendment to the laws to say MAS should do this when it comes, this is total bullshit because damage has been done. Right? The government coffers actually suffered, or rather, Singapore society welfare have been shortchanged by this transfer of $2 billion. If it is not for this Allianz and NTUC saga, we would not have known that such exemption was made. Kakinang exempt Kakinang. They said one what their symbiotic relationship. In fact, those who run NTUC are mostly related to PAP. Is it or not? We must get to the bottom of this, right? And in the end, you allow a foreign companies that come in to do a corporate raiding. What? Did I hear it wrongly? Right? Initially, I was just quite puzzled. Why Allianz want to buy over a small, because NTUC Income is considered small in Singapore because it's only 10% market share. Right? Why suddenly this interest? And why suddenly NTUC Enterprise want to sell? If he's making good money, stable income, I was quite puzzled. So the meat is actually the $2 billion that was transferred out of government coffers. My dear Singaporeans, people say Goh Ming Singh make too much noise. Right? I not only make noise, I give perspective, explanation to the logic to what is happening, what is right and what is wrong. Right? And this is about governance. It really looks like I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Right? Hear no evil, say no evil, right? See no evil. And if we do not really put our effort into checking the government of the day, this deal might have just move on. A friend actually go through this thing with me, okay? Send me this message, right? It's not written by me, definitely not written by me, right? It started with Income-Alliance. On reading today's paper, the following are obvious to me. It's not written by me. Someone wrote this. Right? The deal is a classic PE, right? Acquire and strip deal. That's corporate, actually what we call a corporate raiding, where the acquirer gives the impression that he's paying good money for his new shares, but in actual fact, he's going to strip cash from the acquiree, that means income, to pay for the acquisition, resulting in a much weaker acquiree. Stripping cash out of income, and you expect income to grow? Hey, don't bullshit me, man. I'm not first day in business, right? At a much lower acquisition cost for himself. Second, Ronald Ong, as an experienced banker, should immediately resign because of the role he plays. Ronald Ong, because his bank was actually appointed as an advisor to income. Right? Firstly, it's not just COI, but bad COI. Secondly, see point 3. The point 3 is all the top people involved should resign for not seeing through these rounds. And so flagrantly violates the core of Income's excuse for not disputing the $2 billion to the cooperative society's liquidation account. Just how can any competent person on the board and in top management not see that? They just 乾坤大挪移. To me, it's a very sophisticated way of transfer public money into private coffers. Right? Following from this, minimally, Lim Boon Heng, Ng Chi Ming, the guy is called Ng Chi Ming, right? Secretary General of NTUC. The CEO and Ronald Ong should immediately resign. Frankly, they are not fit for the purpose anymore. Lim Boon Heng should concurrently resign as chairman of Temasek. I do not read any bad intention on his failures in this saga, but it is obvious he's well past his use-by date. Even such thing cannot see through. Right? If he cannot function properly in this role, it is inconceivable why he should even be a board member of Temasek, let alone its chairman. That is also my concern. If he's going to run NTUC Enterprise in such a way, allowing people to strip off the company, which have the cash just transferred out of government coffers, he should resign, because I worry how he's going to run Temasek. Right? Number 5, Ng Chi Ming should not be put up for election again. General election. For the PEAP's sake, he has made enough mistakes. Don't suggest that we elect him because it reflects badly on you. Right? If Ng Chi Ming doesn't even have a command and control over NTUC Enterprise, over people below him, and kept in the dark of such important material information, how would we actually expect him to run his ministry proper? It basically means NTUC Enterprise or NTUC Income bo chap him, see him no up, or treat him as transparent. Right? The power of the small men and women in Singapore. Oftentimes, people who voice their opinions on social media get criticized by family and friends for wasting time. Nobody will listen to you. PAP will do as it pleases, they say. Because the common men, the common people had posted much on this matter, because they supported the likes of Tan Kin Lin, Tommy Koh, opposition voices, and others who have the conviction to speak up. The government is forced to look more closely at the deal and take the correct steps to stop the transaction at its stance. Power to the people. The power to the people is written by him, not me, although we also use the same slogan. So there are quite a number of issues arising from Allianz. That's why this is a key topic in my live chat tonight. Not about Pritam Singh's case, right? Not about Oxley 38, right? Not even about the vaccine. Why? Because it reflects the mindset, the modus operandi of how PAP runs its business, runs the organization, runs the ministry. Right? The governance is lax. Right? And now I started to realize why Temasek and GIC can make so many mistakes, so much losses, like the FTX. $230 million was written off, and yet they have the cheek to say that it's only a very small portion of the whole portfolio. That's public money. Because this is the way they run their businesses. Should you be concerned? I'm very concerned. Because this whole saga exposed all the lacks of checks and balances, all the due diligence, only based on trust. And what more? Public money has been transferred out. And people are raiding them from the backside. When they try to accuse opposition of raiding the reserve, when we ask for more to be spent on the people. Boss to them. Right? If you like what I say, please send more people like us into Parliament. That is where it matters. And in the parliamentary debates, really talk up. Right? They can claim ignorance of the whole saga. Like, it is nothing wrong to claim innocent. No. If you are not told about all this, that going on your back, you are being cheated, so-called. You are being fooled. And you should get to the bottom of this. You should not let it go just because it's your buddy, party colleagues. Right? To me, I look at it, it's a very sophisticated transfer of money out of public coffers under the eyes of these ministers. And they just talk as if nothing wrong with that by being ignorant. That's BS, man. Bullshit. And you are not extracting responsibility out of all these buggers that only tell you half truth and not the full truth. Full disclosure. It's really scheming. Right? The whole thing smells fishy. And if Lawrence Wong, as a new Prime Minister, not going to do anything about it, not going to convene a commission of inquiry or the committee, at least a committee of inquiry about all these deals, I tell you, he will have no standing. He will be always seen as a weak Prime Minister to begin with. You must have the resolve not only to punish people who tell you half-truth. You must get your resolve to set the system right and not for people to abuse it or use strictly sophisticated methods to suck you dry. Right? You must set an example to tell all these monkeys around you, don't play. You don't have a big monkey business. And that is why Lee Kuan Yew can hold the fort. Because if he is going to find out people do all this funny business at his back, you know what will happen to them. For the next election, you know that your votes will count. Very important votes. Right? PAP is on a broken track. We have to change it. Maybe not the whole real way, but at least the big parts of it have to be changed. Thank you for watching. And I plead again, if you like my live chat, like, share, right? And try to promote. And of course, election is coming. We need all the funds we need for the coming election. Thank you for watching and good night.